guys? It's your boy Kai, aka Papa Talks, with another video. This one is gonna be part two of diving into marriage and everything. And honestly, well, before I talk more about this, I just want to say, marriage is a beautiful thing, right? Like I talked about before in the last video, I feel it's only for people who are really willing to put 100% effort into the marriage. And um, I, you know, I believe that, really you should get married if it's a God-centered marriage. Or if it's a God-centered relationship, right? Because, you guys date first, you don't just automatically get married. But if it's God-centered relationship, then it should, then that's when I feel like you should get married, and then it should turn into a God-centered marriage, right? That's what I believe. That's what I'm gonna say. But yeah, so let's dive into this. So basically, I was reading Mark, Mark chapter 10, and kind of just skimming through it a little bit, and some things that stood out to me. Um, so so I'll read a little bit to you. It says, so with starting with verse 1, it says, then Jesus left Capernaum and went down to the region of Judah and into the area east of the Jordan River. Once again, crowds gathered around him, and as usual, he was teaching them. Some Pharisees came and tried to trap him with the question, should a man be allowed to divorce his wife? Jesus answered them with a question, saying, what did Moses say in the law about divorce? Well, he permitted it, they replied. He said a man can give his wife a written notice of divorce and send her away. But Jesus responded, he wrote this commandment only as a concession to your hand's heart. No, to your hard hearts. Sorry. And then right here, chapter 10, verse 6 says, God made them male and female from the beginning of creation. This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one, since they are no longer two but one. Let no one split apart what God has joined together. All right. And I really do like that Bible verse a lot, especially that last part. Let no one split apart what God has joined together. You know, so father, mother, raise a child, male or female, both, right? They grow up, okay, and then they find the person that they believe is going to be a good fit for, oh no, yeah, a good spouse, like a good godly fit for them, and they leave their mother and father and they join, with their spouse, or yeah, with their spouse once they get married, and the two become one. See, all right, and sorry, and then yeah, so that was very interesting to me because it's true, you know, a lot of times, like, it's funny because sorry, there are some, so sometimes I'll see some things. I remember I heard before on like TikTok videos or or Insta reels, basically saying, okay, it'll be a guy interviewing some people, right, and like some girls or some guys or whatever, and they'll be okay. So, well, let's say if it's like interviewing guys, he'd be like, okay, so who's for like in order first to last, who's first and who's third? So you have your mom, your daughter, and your wife. Which one is first, second, third, right? And people would say stuff like the so like daughter's first, then mother's second, then wife is third, or or mother's first, daughter's second, wife is third. And I'm just thinking like, no. Mind you guys, like before now getting closer to the Lord, I used to think those ways because I was lukewarm. Matter of fact, what even is lukewarm? That's not even really, a thing like that. It's literally, it's either you're in or you're out. You can't, you know what I'm saying? So, because you're for the world or you're for God, right? So I used to think, no, yeah, like like you want to put like for sure like I'm not gonna put my wife before my daughter. Like what? That's my daughter, or or son, or whatever the case may be, right? And that's not right. Lord, guys, the Lord wants us to make it look God, okay, or your spouse, and then your children, and then parents and all that stuff, family or not family, parents and friends and all that stuff, like because when you grow up and you're with your family, right, your mother, your father, right, your siblings, right, that's your family, right? But when you get married, like I said, and like it says, like here in the Bible, Mark chapter 10, verse. I don't want to say that because I already said it. But basically, you grow up, and right, and when you find your spouse, right, or the person you want to marry, you guys join together, and you guys, the two become one, and you guys are a separate family, and you branch off and build your own family, right? And it was very hard for me to understand that, but I'll never forget. I'll never forget. I was with my long-term girlfriend, which I still am, still am with right now. I'm actually gonna marry her soon. Um, what's it called? I'll never forget. It was a video, and it said, I'll never forget the video. It was some girl lady talking about how what I'm talking about right now, and she said, "Well, in my household, right, my husband, or no, okay, well, God, of course, and then my husband, is next, and then my kids." And I remember me and my girlfriend were looking at each other, and we're like, "Wait, what? Why? I don't understand. I don't get that because we both are on the same page. Yeah, we would put our kid before each other, right? But then like you know I started, well, not even then. That's what, like, it didn't. I didn't start really believing that and realizing that and thinking, okay, yeah, you know what, this really is true. When I started getting closer to God is when I really realized. And when I started getting closer to God, guys, that was about 2023. Actually, my girl and I both started getting closer to God in 2023. We've been really devoting our life to Christ for about 2 years now or so, you know. And I'll say like a testimony about that, later on. But yeah, but the next thing I want to get into is right here, Mark chapter 10, verses 11. It says he told them, whoever divorces his wife and marries someone else commits adultery against her. And if it, and Mark chapter 10 verse 12 reads, and if a woman divorces her husband and marries someone else, she commits adultery, basically within her, or not within her, but well, commits adultery, yeah. And I feel like that's crazy. See, I was very confused on that, but one time, because I read something like this before, and it was basically saying what it said right now, and I was confused. I'm like, oh shoot, so when you're married to your person in the eyes of God, that is your person forever, right? That's it, and it should be that way, right? You shouldn't have a divorce. You shouldn't want a divorce, right? Like, um, obviously, unless like, okay, like you're being abused, you're being cheated on, and actually it says that in here. I think if I keep reading more, it says that in here. Um, which if you want, I can make a part three on that if you want. But I just wanted to say that like like it's um when you're married, that's your person forever, right? Unless I remember it did say somewhere like that, if you are like a widow, what I'm saying, kind of like you, then God is fine with you marrying again. Like if your partner passes away, then you can marry again, or if you cheat on, abuse, all that, but you know people just out here like getting married and just getting divorced and just you know like it ain't nothing. It's like that's not what God designed that for, right? So when you marry somebody else, technically, like, that's a sin. Now, I'm not God. I'm not like here to condemn or anything like that, or I'm gonna say, okay, you're going to hell. Like, no, like I'm not saying that at all. Like I don't know, but I just know that it is a sin. Of course, God, like forgives, you know, sin when we come to Him and repent. And well, I know that's kind of not with this situation right now, but kind of like if we come to Him and we apologize for what we did and whatnot. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, that was pretty interesting to me about that. But I mean, it makes sense. Like it's not a joke. It's not just really like not even really. It's not like you know you just get married and you see how it is for a little bit, then you jump out. Like, no, you can't do that. Like, when you get married, when it's marriage, it's serious, and you're devoting yourself to that person, and you guys really should devote. Well, not really should. You guys really need to devote yourself to the Lord. That's why you pick somebody who's a good fit, who's gonna get you closer to the Lord, right? And that's what I'm learning more and more. And yeah, guys. But thank you so much for tuning tuning in. If you did, I want to make more videos about this, and thank you guys so much, and I appreciate you guys. And yeah, this is fun to me, so can't wait to make a lot more videos. All right, catch you guys.